life's uncertain way winds circling on. Let me get this, excuse me. I've had so many students tonight. It's been a very busy night. Okay, we'll begin now. Our life's uncertain way winds circling on. Our mind's unquiet search asks always light, till they have learned their secret in their source, in the light of the timeless and its spaceless home. In the joy of the eternal, soul and one. So this Godheads of the little life, he's telling us here that our life's uncertain way winds circling on. And we see that very much in our life. We have intense aspiration at one moment, and then we have an unquiet search where we're always asking for light. And then we lapse a little bit, and Sri Aurobindo, of course, always speaks about our stumbles and our fate that holds back our forward progress. Now, until they have learned their secret in their source, in the light of the timeless and its spaceless home, in the joy of the eternal, soul and one. Sri Aurobindo tells us that all is eternal in the eternal spirit. And he even tells us in the Life Divine, each is the whole eternal concealed. And again in the Life Divine, because note that he's capitalized the E of eternal in this line, I want to emphasize. The eternal is our refuge. All the rest are false values. The ignorance and its mazes, a self-bewilderment of the soul in phenomenal nature. And now he continues on. But now the light supreme is far away. And we've gone through light so many times and read Mother and Sri Aurobindo's words on light. Our conscious life obeys the inconscious laws. And the inconscious are not abstractions. And I want to share a letter of Sri Aurobindo on the inconscient because it has touched me so deeply. He writes, the inconscient and the ignorance may be mere empty abstractions and can be dismissed as irrelevant jargon if one has not come in collision with them or plunged into their dark and bottomless reality. But to me, they are realities, concrete powers whose resistance is present everywhere and at all times in its tremendous and boundless mass. You know, this should give us such humility to know that Sri Aurobindo has collided with these forces, has plunged into their dark and bottomless reality. And he says they are present everywhere and at all times in this tremendous and boundless mass. So we will continue on. To ignorant purposes and blind desires, our hearts are moved by an ambiguous force. Even our mind's conquests wear a battered crown. Well, this harkens back for me to the waste of time that we've all experienced in life. Ignorant purposes, blind desires, moving our hearts by some ambiguous force, and even our mind's conquests wear a battered crown. Well, the reason for Sri Aurobindo writing that battered crown is because nothing we have ever learned is ours. It's all a part of universal nature. And in our body, life, and mind, we have actually made no spiritual progress until we can rise into the higher mind, illumined and intuitive and overmind eventually. So he wants us to know that a slowly changing order binds our will. Yes, our will is bound in this slowly changing order, and it is a fixed order that changes as we grow. So our wills are bound by it. We must progress, or we enter into entropy, or we perish and we'll have to come back again and again. So he says then, to be very clear, this is our doom until our souls are free. Now he will continue with this line. A mighty hand then rolls mind's firmaments back. Infinity takes up the finite's acts, and nature steps into the eternal light. So we have a doom. We have a changing order that's binding us. We have even the conquests of the mind that wear a battered crown. But eventually, a mighty hand rolls back these firmaments of the mind, and infinity takes up the finite's acts, and nature steps into the eternal light. Now we know nature is collaborating with the mother. She has spoken to nature, and nature did not want at first to collaborate. She said, I'm happy doing what I do if it takes me 1,000,000 years to create a new species. But when Mother spoke to her and told her how beautiful and powerful she would become, nature agreed. So we see now that then only ends this dream of nether life. Nether here is certainly lower life. Now, there's a small break, and we see here, after the break, at the outset of this enigmatic world. The outset is, of course, the beginning, the initial stage. And enigmatic, of course, we know what that is. It's an enigma, it's a puzzling world. At the outset of this enigmatic world, which seems at once an enormous brute machine and a slow unmasking of the spirit in things, in this revolving chamber without walls, in which God sits impassive everywhere, as if unknown to himself and by us unseen, in a miracle of inconscient secrecy, yet is all here his action and his will. So let's look at this a little bit more deeply, because we see that only when infinity can take up our finite acts and nature will step into the eternal light, this stream of nether life can end. So then, after that small break, which he wants us just to take a moment's reflection of what he previously has said. At the outset of this enigmatic world, and certainly it is an enigmatic world, which seems at once, and now he says it's two things, which seems at once an enormous brute machine, and yet, and a slow unmasking of the spirit in things. In this revolving chamber without walls, in which God, he seems to sit impassive everywhere, because he's not bound by anything. He's not even bounded by his unity or his infinity. And he says in Essays in Philosophy and Yoga, what is God after all? An eternal child playing an eternal game in an eternal garden. That has always made me smile. As if unknown to himself and by us unseen, in a miracle of inconscient secrecy, yet is all here, his action and his will. In this whirl and sprawl through infinite vacancy, the spirit became matter and lay in the whirl. It's most interesting. Let's see what else he says. A body sleeping without sense or soul. So the spirit here, the soul, we may say, is becoming matter. And when it becomes matter, it is involved in matter. It lays in the whirl, in this whirl and sprawl through this infinite vacancy, this emptiness. And then what happens? Well, he tells us now that it is a body sleeping without sense or soul. A mass phenomenon of visible shapes supported by the silence of the void appeared in the eternal consciousness and seemed an outward and insensible world. There was none there to see and none to feel, only the miraculous inconscient. A subtle wizard skilled was at its task. Wow. Now he's going to tell us about how this creation is occurring. And he uses the word magical here. And he does use magic at times in Savitri, but, he says that magic is only something we have not yet understood or realized. There's nothing truly magical. But he's telling us now poetically that this subtle wizard, who's very skilled, was at its task, inventing ways for magical results, managing creation's marvelous device, marking mechanically dumb wisdom's points, using the unthought, inevitable idea. It did the works of God's intelligence. And I have to go to the next page and complete that line. Did the works of God's intelligence or wrought the will of some supreme unknown? Oh, it's so fantastic here because we see that we really cannot understand this creation unless we can understand the magic of it. Because there's none to see at this point. There's none even to feel at this point. It seems to be an outward and insensible world. Now, only the miraculous inconscient, a subtle wizard skilled, was at its task. So we see a wizard who's creating magical results, who's managing this marvelous device of creation, who's marking these silent wisdom points mechanically. And to do that, he's using the unthought, inevitable idea. And therefore did the works of God's intelligence, or wrought the will of some supreme unknown. Vladimir, I've read so much. Can you add some things from Vedic knowledge? Vladimir? Maybe he's on a break.
Coffee break.
Okay. We've been through a lot here, and there's a lot to read. May I ask someone to read tonight? Maybe you haven't read before. It doesn't really matter if your English is not perfect or the lines seem to be a little strange. It's important that you read it, because when we read Savitri aloud, the mantra and the music come through. And that is most important, to read Savitri aloud. Can I ask someone to read? No volunteers?
Okay, Narad, I'll read.
Okay, wonderful.
Our life's uncertain way winds circling on. Our mind's unquiet search asks always light, till they have learned their secret in their source, in the light of the timeless and its spaceless home, in the joy of the eternal soul and one. But now the light supreme is far away. Our conscious life obeys the inconscient's laws. To ignorant purposes and blind desires, our hearts are moved by an ambiguous force. Even our mind's conquests wear a battered crown. A slowly changing order binds our will. This is our doom until our souls are free. A mighty hand then rolls mind's firmaments back. Infinity takes up the finite's acts, and nature steps into the eternal light. Then only ends this dream of nether life. At the outset of this enigmatic world, which seems at once an enormous brute machine and a slow unmasking of the spirit in things, in this revolving chamber without walls, in which God sits impassive everywhere, as if unknown to himself and by us unseen, in a miracle of inconscient secrecy, yet is all here his action and his will. In this whirl and sprawl through infinite vacancy, the spirit became matter and lay in the world, a body sleeping without sense or soul, a mass phenomenon of visible shapes, supported by the silence of the void, appeared in the eternal consciousness and seemed an outward and insensible world. There was none there to see and none to feel, only the miraculous inconscient. A subtle wizard's skill was at its task, inventing ways for magical results, managing creation's marvelous device, marking mechanically dumb wisdom's points, using the unthought, inevitable idea. It did the works of God's intelligence, or wrought the will of some supreme unknown.
That was a wonderful reading. Really, really beautiful. And I commend you. I hope we got this feeling in this book of the Traveler of the Worlds and the Godheads of the Little Life, that all these worlds are connected to our world, to our earth, and they do have lateral movements from above to below. So Sri Aurobindo had to go on exploring all of these planes of consciousness and write about them in this book too, which has 15 cantos, because he has to bring the light into the darkness. He has to bring the truth to conquer falsehood. And he has to bring love where there's hate and joy where there's sorrow. I thank you all for attending tonight, and we will continue with this next week on this Godheads of the Little Life. Namaste all.